There's this weird moment that happens sometimes when you're standing in a grocery store, staring at a shelf you've walked past 1,000 times before, and suddenly the prices just hit different. Not in a dramatic headline way, more like a quiet, uncomfortable realization that something has shifted and nobody really announced it. The math in your head doesn't line up the way it used to, and you kind of laugh it off, because what else are you supposed to do, right? But that moment, that tiny pause, that's where the 2026 money truth starts. Because the harsh part isn't that things are expensive. We already know that. We've been talking about inflation, interest rates, housing, AI, layoffs, all of it nonstop. The harsh part is that most normal people are still playing by rules that quietly expired, and no one sent a memo, no alert popped up. Life just kept moving. Honestly, that's the part that gets me. I'm not saying this from a place of doom or panic. I'm saying it because I've watched really smart, hardworking people do everything they were told was right and still feel like they're running uphill on gravel. And yeah, I've been there too, staring at numbers, feeling behind, wondering if I missed some invisible turn somewhere around 2020, 2021, 2022, pick a year. And what's wild is how subtle it is. Nobody wakes up and says, wow, the financial system has shifted beneath my feet. It shows up as tension, as hesitation, as that constant low-grade pressure in your chest when you think about the future. You're paying your bills. You're not drowning, but you're also not exhaling. So if you're watching this and you feel that low-grade anxiety that never fully goes away, even when things are fine, you're not crazy. You're reacting to a system that quietly changed its expectations. By the end of this video, I want you to see money a little differently. Not as this thing you're failing at or winning at, but as a set of forces that reward awareness more than effort now. And that shift, that perspective, can completely change how you move through the next few years. Because 2026 isn't coming with fireworks. It's coming with inertia. And inertia rewards people who understand what's actually happening underneath the surface. So yeah, this is going to be uncomfortable in parts, but also grounding and hopefully clarifying, because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's where real leverage starts. The game didn't break, it updated. Here's the thing nobody likes to admit out loud. The money system didn't collapse. It just updated its software. And most people are still trying to run the old version. For decades, the formula was pretty straightforward. You get educated, you get a job, you get raises over time, you buy a house, you save a little, invest a little, and eventually things smooth out. Not perfect, but stable. Predictable enough that you could plan your life around it. That predictability is gone. Not because the world is ending, but because volatility became permanent. Interest rates don't gently glide anymore. Careers don't progress in straight lines. Entire industries can feel solid one year and shaky the next. And the problem is, our habits haven't caught up. I remember talking to someone recently who said, I just want things to go back to normal. And I didn't know how to say this gently, but this is the new normal. Waiting for the old rules to return is like waiting for a phone booth to make a comeback. What changed is the speed, the feedback loops, the margin for error. You used to be able to be financially passive and still be okay. You could ignore your money for years and trust that time would smooth things out. Now, ignoring it doesn't mean standing still, it means drifting backward. The harsh truth is that stability now comes from flexibility, not loyalty. From adaptability, not tenure. From optionality, not optimization. And that matters to you because if your entire financial plan assumes smooth progress, steady income, predictable expenses, linear growth, even small disruptions feel catastrophic. One missed paycheck, one medical bill, one rent increase, suddenly everything feels fragile. So the real question isn't, how do I get back to how things were? It's, how do I build money habits that expect change? That's the shift most people haven't made yet. The first $50,000 is still hard, but for a different reason. People love talking about the first dollar, 100K, or the first million, but honestly, the first $50,000 is where 2026 quietly filters people, not because it's glamorous, but because it requires a level of restraint that modern life actively fights against. against. Here's what changed. Saving used to be about discipline. Now it's about identity. It's not just skipping lattes. It's resisting the constant pull to upgrade your life the moment you can. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly better car, subscriptions that seem small but quietly stack. And because everyone around you is doing the same thing, it feels normal. You don't feel irresponsible, you feel reasonable. That's what makes it dangerous. But $50,000 doesn't happen by accident anymore. It happens when you decide that your future self deserves resources more than your present self deserves convenience. And that's a deeply unsexy choice. No one claps for it. No one sees it. There's no dopamine hit. I've noticed something weird. People who hit that threshold tend to talk less about money, not more, because they stopped using it to signal progress and started using it to buy peace, options, time. Once you cross it, things actually do change. Not magically, but psychologically. Emergencies stop feeling like disasters. Opportunities stop feeling scary. You stop making decisions purely from fear. Most people quit before that point because the rewards aren't visible yet. It's like pushing a boulder uphill in fog. You don't know when the slope levels out. You just know it's heavy. And the thing nobody tells you is that the last stretch before $50K is the hardest. The progress feels slow. The sacrifices feel constant. And you start wondering if it's even worth it. But that's where the leverage is. Lifestyle creep isn't about stuff, it's about time. We usually talk about lifestyle creep like it's about spending more money, but honestly, the bigger cost is time. Every upgrade you accept comes with maintenance. A nicer place needs more income, a nicer car needs more insurance, a busier lifestyle needs more energy. And suddenly, your calendar fills up with obligations you didn't consciously choose. In 2026, this is brutal because time is the real bottleneck. Side income needs time. Skill building, time. Health, time. Relationships, time. Rest, definitely time. When your lifestyle quietly locks in high fixed costs, you don't just lose money, you lose maneuverability. You can't take risks, you can't downshift, you can't say no, and it's sneaky because lifestyle creep doesn't feel reckless. It feels earned. You worked hard. You deserve comfort. And you do, but comfort has a way of becoming a cage if you're not careful. The scariest part? It happens gradually. You don't wake up one day trapped. You just slowly trade flexibility for comfort until the exit door feels far away. The antidote isn't minimalism. It's intentional slack. Building a life that's slightly under your means, slightly under your capacity, gives you room to breathe, to pivot, to wait out storms instead of panicking through them. That's a superpower now. Career momentum beats career comfort. This one stings a little, but it matters. In the old world, comfort was the goal. You found a stable role, learned it well, and stayed put. In 2026, comfort is a warning sign. Not because stability is bad, but because stagnation compounds quietly. Career momentum doesn't mean job hopping every 6 months. It means continuously expanding your market value, skills that travel, relationships that extend beyond one employer, a reputation that exists outside your job title. I've seen people with secure jobs get blindsided, and others with messy, non-linear careers land on their feet because they were already in motion. The question to ask yourself isn't, am I safe? It's, if this disappeared tomorrow, would I still be valuable? That answer shapes everything. Debt is heavier when growth slows. Debt always mattered, but it matters more when growth isn't guaranteed. Low-interest debt used to be easy to outrun with raises and inflation. Now, not so much. When income growth is uneven, debt becomes an emotional weight. It limits your choices. It amplifies stress. It makes every setback feel personal. This doesn't mean all debt is evil. It means clarity matters. Knowing exactly what you owe, why you owe it, and what it's costing you in options, not just dollars, is critical. People who feel calm about money in 2026 aren't debt-free necessarily. They're debt aware. Investing is an identity, not a spreadsheet. Here's something nobody tells you. Investing works best when you stop thinking of it as an activity and start thinking of it as part of who you are. Investors invest automatically, consistently, boringly. They don't wait for perfect timing. They don't panic at headlines. They don't obsess daily. The math matters, sure, but the identity matters more. Because once investing is just what you do, it removes friction. And friction is what kills progress. The first $100,000 still matters because it changes your relationship with money. But getting there isn't about brilliance. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. Your social circle is a financial force. This one's subtle, but powerful. Who you're around shapes what feels normal, what feels possible. What feels risky? If everyone you know is barely treading water, stability feels like success. If everyone is upgrading constantly, restraint feels like failure. You don't need richer friends, you need intentional ones. People who talk honestly about money, about trade-offs, about long-term thinking. That environment quietly rewires your decisions. Conclusion. So here's the harsh 2026 money truth. Stripped down to its core, effort alone isn't enough anymore. Awareness is the multiplier. The people who feel calm aren't smarter. They just adjusted faster. They stopped waiting for permission. Stopped assuming the old rules would come back. Stopped measuring progress by appearances. And if you're feeling behind right now, that doesn't mean you are. It just means you're early in the awareness phase. The next few years will reward people who build flexibility, protect momentum, and choose long-term leverage over short-term comfort. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, just consistently. So here's your one small action. Pick one thing this week that buys your future self breathing room. One extra payment, one automated investment, one skill you start learning, one expense you question. Small moves compound quietly, relentlessly. And that's how you stay ahead of a future most people don't see coming.